The ultimate evidence of the Holy Spirit in our lives is not signs, miracles, wonders, gifts, tongues, faith, hope, or holiness. The greatest evidence of the presence of the Holy Spirit in us is love. There are three things that will endure: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Love is how the world knows we're followers of Jesus. Love motivates us to minister to the least and the most difficult of these, and in doing so, to serve and love Jesus. Love inspires two great commandments that Jesus gave to us. Love agape, that is selfless, unconditional, and completely giving, is impossible without the help of the Holy Spirit. He pours God's love out of our hearts. For we know how dearly God loves us, because He has given us the Holy Spirit to fill our hearts with His love. When the Holy Spirit fills us with love, every fear, every worry flees. This is God 321. And now, here's your host, Danny Hutchins.
Hello, Clawson. Hello, Oak Park. Hello, Centerline. I get accused of leaving the smaller city out. We don't leave anybody out. Now I want you to stand up out there so I can see you. All right, everybody. Okay, I got you. Thank you very much, even this far in the back. We're glad that you're here today. God 321, Danny Hutchins. I have Kim and Guy Hall here. They have 11 children. 3 born to them, and 8 they have adopted. And we're going to talk to them about that. And they were both in the Marines. Now, that's interesting. Very interesting. All right, I need to talk to you about the car. Today is the day. Today is the last day you can put in that email for the car, that letter for the car. You need to listen to me, because this is the chance when you can look out, you can see someone, and all this time has passed, and today you can make it count. You can make this count. Put in that email. Look out to see somebody. You know someone who needs a car. You know someone who can't get to the doctor without a car. You know some family that has a foreclosed house. The car is broken down. You know, the husband can't get to work. They're going, someone else is driving them back for, they're struggling. Get out there and take a look at your neighbors. Walk down the street. Talk to someone. Go to your church. You know, go to your clubs. Talk to a friend. Send us an email, danhutchins@god321.net. God321.net. If you want to see the vehicle, we have 2 cars now. God321.net. Go online, see it, send us an email. This is the time. We're going to award the 2 cars now next week. And we need a third. So we're asking the audience to step up to and find us another vehicle. Send us an email. If you're going to turn your card in and you've got a low appraisal, then we can perhaps find the funds and buy a good car from you at the appraised price. You can, so you can do a good thing. You can still get paid, but you don't have to give it to the dealer who's what? Going to double, triple the value of the car that you bring. Bring it to us, god321.net. We can find the money. We can give you the money. We help somebody else. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. All right, Guy and Kim Hall, you're here with me. And Guy looks like he's frozen on the microphone over there, so we'll talk to Kim first. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
Guy can say hi. Say hi.
Thanks for having us here.
Oh, we're so happy to have you here. 11 children.
Yep.
And 8 were your choice of choosing. 3 were born to you.
Correct.
And now you have 8 others. And those 8 have all kinds of issues, special needs, special needs children. And I can see it on your face. I saw it on John's. You love each one of them. I see no distress going on here with your children.
That's correct.
What a wonderful thing. You guys met in the Marines, you said.
Yes, we did.
And that was, what, 74?
We actually met in 1980, 81.
Yeah. John, you get closer to the mic. Don't be bashful.
Yeah, we met in, I think it was 1980.
80. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have to talk to the mic, not to her. You'll see her
I'm
later.
used to talking to her.
You have to talk to her. I know you're used to her talking to you, you know. Talk to the mic.
Okay.
All right. Talk to me. Look at me. Okay. Anyway, you met in when? 80?
Yep.
1980.
Okay, and you guys were in the Marines.
Yes.
Let's go with that story now. You're in the Marines. Now, at that time, Kim, that was really unusual for a woman.
Yes, it was. People thought I was weird for joining the Marines.
And why did you join the Marines?
Well, in my family, we had a rule: when you're 18, you're out. So I did some research. At first, I thought just men could go in the Marines. Then I found out women could. And that solved all my immediate needs. It gave me a place to live. I could also get college education and get paid, so I could survive on my own.
Oh, that's wonderful. And then you entered that, and the Marines, as you were talking about, you figured too, you also were smart enough at 18 to figure out that the Marines was a smaller force.
Yep.
And the advancement would be perhaps better.
Correct. That's what the recruiter told me, and it was true.
Yeah, so that you can make money faster.
Mm-hmm.
And then God knew that was the right choice, too, because then you met your husband.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it was destined.
And
I was born in New York, and Kim was born here in Michigan, and we met in California. So
that's amazing. And then you guys met, and you were dating, and you told me you had a serious accident.
Mm-hmm. A skydiving accident where I had crushed vertebrae in my spine. And this was back in 1980, so they didn't have MRIs and things like that then. So
that was part of your training, this skydiving accident, right? You weren't recreationally diving. Right?
Correct. It was part of the Marines.
And you came down, and then in a bowl, and a gust of wind lifted you, and then dropped you down on the ground.
Correct.
Okay. Then your spine was injured, and you were saying, what did the doctors tell you?
Well, the doctors then said they didn't know if I'd be able to have a natural childbirth or even get pregnant at all. They didn't know. The left side of my body had not normal reflexes, so it was really unsure. They didn't know what the future would hold.
Well, was that the end of your career in the Marines?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
they also told her that at some point she may be in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
In a wheelchair, too, because they thought it was degrading.
Correct.
A degrading injury.
And not repairable, yep.
Not repairable at that time. But you're here walking around.
Oh, yeah.
They told you they probably wouldn't have children, but then you went and had 3.
Mm-hmm.
You said something pretty wonderful about your husband. Wives, Father's Day, husband. Okay, wonderful thinking. Come on. You said that you guys were dating, and this injury pointed out to you that he loved you.
Yep. Because he never wavered. When we were just dating then, and he stood by me, made sure I had my meals every day because I was still on the Marine Corps base. He didn't desert me, and we were just dating, and he believed in me, believed that everything would be okay, and even if it wasn't, he'd be right there by my side.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
See, we always heard that people from New York, were isolated and distant. Don't talk to me, I'm from New York, right?
Right.
Yeah. What a great story. What a great love. I can see, you guys have been married how long?
About 30 years now.
30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you said this entry was the woman's dream, because he does all the chores.
Well, the vacuuming. He does the vacuuming for me.
He hasn't had you checked over, make sure that you're really well, but you decided I like this too much.
Oh, he knows. I had surgery just a couple years ago, so he knows.
He knows.
She doesn't have a written prescription for me to do it, but I still do.
But you still do out of love. She said it's not quite up to her standards, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, of course, husbands can't quite, do it to our wife's standards, but it's all right. And no lifting for you. He does all your lifting, too.
Correct.
That would include the children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you have them. He has to take care of them. Good job.
Oh, we both take care of them. And our children, when they're younger, we taught them to come up on the couch to crawl in my lap. So I just can't pick them up from the floor. So there's ways around it.
So you hold a cookie out and they climb up on the couch?
Oh, no, they climb up all by themselves on the couch. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that wonderful family that you've had. Your first child, were you still in the Marines when you had your first?
Yes, our first 3 biological
Your
children. My husband was still in the Marines.
Your husband was still in the Marines. Mm-hmm. How long were you at the Marines, guy?
I was in 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
So you had your first, and then you were telling me that your first biological child had some issues.
Mm-hmm. During delivery.
During delivery.
And they were telling us it was something really horrible, that the cord was wrapped around her neck, that she might be born, not alive. And I just had a peace settle over me, and I told my husband at the time, I know everything's okay. They're wrong. Everything's okay. This baby's okay. And she's perfect, and she's fine. And
well, at that time, when you had that child, ultrasound was relatively new.
Correct.
But that's very serious because the cord around their neck, when they're going into the birthing channel, it chokes them to death and often even can lead to the mother's death.
Right, and they were wrong. It wasn't that. They had what's called a scalp lead to measure the baby's heartbeat, and what had happened, they found out later, was the scalp lead had fallen off. Oh. So they were totally wrong, and I already knew that, though. So
God told you that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And you told us also that you were Catholic. Initially, your husband, you both were, or you were non-secular, right?
Right. I had never
thought about
been introduced or had much to do with church or religion until I met my wife, until I met Kim.
But she said that when you met her, you were the one who said, "No, I'll go with you."
I had no problem. I enjoyed going to church and finding out about it.
I never had to ask him to. He did it on his own.
Yeah, well, obviously you loved her. Just said, "Hey, I'm going to go along." You knew it was the right pew to sit in anyway. Oh, gosh. Okay, now let's go on. Now you had one child, and then you had 2, and you had 3.
Mm-hmm. Our wonderful 3 oldest biological daughters, and currently today they're our strongest support system. We had family meetings before we decided to adopt, and it had to be unanimous. Everyone in the family had to agree to adopt. And even though we were more naive at the time, our oldest 3 biological daughters were wonderful. They gave us their full support. They wanted to adopt, so we were all in it together as a family.
That is amazing. So you guys still have the family meeting?
Yes, we do, definitely.
And they participate in raising these children that you adopted.
They help us when we need babysitting. For example, like today, our oldest daughter took our oldest 2 sons bike riding with her son. We're truly a family. We do things together. Our daughter Cassie is also a social worker, and she helps and gives advice. She also helps babysit. They're all a wonderful support system. Our daughter Jenny right now is babysitting our bunch at home while we're here. They've always been very supportive and very loving, and there have been tough times, and they've stood by it through it all. Wow. So they all have a strong faith as well. So that definitely helps.
Well, the special needs children that you adopted, let's talk about them. You said one had cerebral palsy.
Correct. Our daughter Michaela has cerebral palsy. She also has autism and ADHD, and she's cognitively impaired. And the funny story with her is originally she came as an emergency foster care placement. The foster parents she was living with got a baby from Guatemala, and they wanted Michaela out. They were afraid she would hurt their infant, not intentionally, just, with all her problems. So they asked us to watch her just for 2 weeks until they found a permanent foster home for her. But, of course, we grew attached and loved her, and we adopted her.
Wow. And then how long have you had her?
We got her when she was 4, and she's now 10.
She's now 10? Mm-hmm. And you said that each of your children that you had that have special needs, that when you receive them, they have grown so much, and your family doesn't see them as special needs children.
Oh, of course not, yeah. We know they are, but they're all part of the family. We're all a family. You get summaries and things like that on the children before you adopt them. And if we believed or listened to every dire prediction they gave us about our adoptive kids, we probably wouldn't have adopted any of them. But we don't. We have faith in God. And our children that they told us would probably be institutionalized, or they had severe reactive attachment disorder or severe autism. They'd probably never function socially. Well, guess what? They were all wrong. So they've all made tremendous progress. And I think love goes a very long way.
That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And when we listen to those negative issues, when people listen to them, well, it's like being a Marine, right? You're given impossible jobs.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're given impossible jobs. If you didn't believe that they could be done, what good would it do to go do them, right?
Correct.
And it's funny because the Marine Corps motto is Semper Fi, which means always faithful.
Yes, always faithful.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we leave no one behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're a unit. Family's a unit. And you've adopted and you have your own unit.
Mm-hmm.
We have our own softball team.
You have your own softball team. Do you have a fast pitch player?
No.
Soccer. We have some really good soccer players.
Really good soccer players. Well, let's talk about the next children. You said each one of them had a need.
Mm-hmm. Well, for example, our first adopted son was Scott. We got him when he was 3.5. And he had already been in 11 different placements.
11 different placements.
He was very feral. He was like a wild animal almost. He didn't talk much. He screamed and he spit. He wouldn't go to sleep at night. He was hypervigilant. He had been through a lot of physical violence, extreme neglect, and medical neglect. I was working full-time then when we first got Scott, and he could not go to sleep at night. He was literally scared to death, and he had absolutely no trust or belief in safety, nothing. So I took a leave of absence from work just so I could teach him how to go to bed at night and feel safe and secure. And that was a very long battle. But, through the love and support, they do respond and they do learn. And they told us his reactive attachment disorder was so severe that he wouldn't be able to love and have good, healthy relationships. Well, he's 13 now. He's on the high honor roll. He's a very loving big brother. He's a good example for his younger siblings. And ever since we started going to our church, Lapeer Community Church in Attica, he's just blossomed. They have a wonderful children's ministry there. And he will mention things about God or questions or things they discussed. And you could just tell God is filling him now, and it's part of his life. And so that's so good to see. And this is the kid that they, had such dire predictions about. Well, guess what? God can work miracles, and he does.
When you took that leave off, he hadn't been held, hugged, comforted. And that had to be hard that when you were trying to touch him during that period of time.
I was very happy when the first sign of that he was beginning to trust me was we were sitting on the couch and he put his feet in my lap. He was giving me permission to touch his feet, and it grew from there.
And Guy, I'm sure you had a hard time because a male figure had to be tough for him during that time.
It was like she said, he was pretty wild. He didn't have any discipline. I mean, I don't want to say he was.
He was fear. He's full of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
when we first met him, when we first went to see him, he hid under the table and just kind of barked and growled.
Yeah, and we didn't know what to do at first. This was the very first visit. He crawled under the table, barked and growled. Our wonderful biological daughters, they instinctively crawled under the table with him, and he loved that, and that it just grew from there. So.
Well, but you took him when you walked in and saw that, and he barked and growled at you, and this to Divvy, but you accepted it. What engaged you about
God?
God.
We know that God would see us through it. We knew that if we were committed, we knew God would see us through. And believe me, we've had some really, really tough times, and God has seen us through.
But when you went out there and you heard about this boy, you went purposely to see him?
Yes.
Yeah, they contacted you, they told you about the problem.
Oh, they didn't tell us much then.
They didn't want to scare you away.
That's what it is. A lot of times they don't give you all the facts. They give you a lot of the good stuff and some of the bad stuff.
Well, it depends on the worker. Some divulge a lot of information and some don't because they feel by not giving all the negative details they're doing a better service for the child, which is sometimes true. So you want to give them every opportunity to succeed.
Yes. I mean, that's true, but when you get in there, some people would have just been frightened off from this one.
Well, then they wouldn't have been the right parents for him.
That's right. They weren't the ones you were discerning, and God was showing you, and you listened to his discernment because he knew what Scott was going to become.
Oh, even when we weren't looking to adopt, I'll share another story, is when we were looking, we put our profile, they call it, out on websites and databases, and they call it a registry. And then we had adopted a SIB group of 2, so we were done adopting for the moment. And then next thing you know, we get a phone call from our worker at our agency, and she said a recruiter from Nevada had contacted her because a year ago when we were registered, she had printed off our profile, and she saved it for some reason. And she had the SIB group of 3 that she thought we would be perfect for because we had already successfully handled some of the same issues with our other children. And she really felt very strong about wanting us to adopt this SIB group of 3. And we did.
3 at one time?
Yep.
3 at one time?
Yes.
We've adopted 2 SIB groups.
And did you have, this was out in Nevada?
They were in Nevada, yes.
So you had to go to Nevada
Yep.
to get processed and to meet the children and see the children?
Yep.
Right.
Oh. So you guys are wealthy beyond...
No, not at all. And believe me, when we needed money and prayed for it, sometimes, I don't know how, but it just ended up being there when we needed it. So
Well, how many bedrooms you got in that house?
6.
6 bedrooms?
Yeah, we have a 3,000 square foot house on 10 acres.
Well, on 10 acres, well, it looks like you need it.
Although one of the bedrooms is supposed to be my study.
So, okay, that's the 3. Now, the 3 that you went to Nevada, tell us a little bit about each one of those 3.
Well, there again, the reports on those 3, the youngest, Angel, they told us at that time she was 4 and they were teaching her sign language because she wouldn't speak and they really didn't know why. And all 3 of them had diagnosis of severe reactive attachment disorder. They're all learning disabled, and the oldest had severe ADHD, and they were worried about other mood disorders, things like that as well. Well, Angel is 7 now, and she speaks very good, very well. She's jumped in reading at school. She was at a very low level, below class level, and now she's doing wonderful. And same with her sister Jasmine. And Jasmine's a very brave young lady because she has some health challenges with growth hormones and things like that, and she's handling them with grace and strength. And Russell, who they thought was such a incorrigible child, is doing very well, and he's improved a lot in the 2.5 years roughly that they've been here with us.
My goodness, how old are each of those?
Russell's 12.
12.
Jasmine will be 10 in July, and Angel is 7.
And they've been with us for 2 years now.
For 2 years.
A little over, about 2.5 almost.
So you adopt the older children, and what we were talking about before, most people want babies.
Right.
And babies are hard to get, number one, the process. I asked you the question was it difficult for you to adopt in the process, that is?
No. If you find the right agency and build up a rapport with them, that's the best way to go, because once they get to know you, they know exactly what you want, and they can help service you better. We originally started out with the intention to adopt one son. Our oldest 3 were in high school, and Cassie was in 8th grade. We were going to adopt one son, and we knew we didn't need an infant, so we were targeting an older boy. And if anyone would have told us in 1998 we would have ended up adopting 8 children, we wouldn't have believed them. But God had other plans for us, and we're very happy. People tell us all the time, "Oh, you're so nice to adopt all these children." No, they bless us. We are happy, and a lot of people don't get that. They're like, "You must have a grocery bill," or we're happy.
They think
love
we're
it.
giving up a lot to adopt, and we're not giving up. We're gaining.
You're gaining.
And it's really hard. People think we're like so nice and or else they're intimidated by us and they just stay away.
They don't invite you over too much.
Right, exactly.
The whole family come on over. Well, you have your own picnic. You don't have to worry about that. You have your own carnival too.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay, now we know about we've had your 3, and we talked about your son, and when you had 3, so we've covered either 6 or 7, but you have 1 or 2 more that we didn't talk about.
We have our family. Let me clarify: is multicultural. We're a multiracial family, and we're very proud of that. An adoption worker that we just adore. She called me up one day. She knew we were looking to adopt, and she told us about this 2.5-year-old little boy and a 1.5-year-old little girl, and they're siblings, but they grew up in separate foster homes, and nobody wanted them because the little girl was born positive for cocaine, etc., and the little boy was severely autistic, and no one wanted them alone, let alone together. But something in her compelled her to reach out to us, and we adopted them. And they're doing wonderful. They're very smart, and Isaiah, he's come such a long way. He's in a regular classroom. He's not severely autistic like he used to be. He's made so much progress. He talks well. Most people think he's just a little goofy because he's very outspoken. But they've both come a very long way, and they're very happy and very loving.
Is he the one that shouts out in church?
Yes. Yeah. He has no inhibitions. He's like, I love Jesus. Or
that's so sweet.
He wants to give everybody hugs, and this is the same little boy at 2.5 who is afraid of people. He would just look at a light and turn in a circle, and if someone come over our house, he would literally hide in between the couch cushions and be very afraid.
Very afraid. Yeah. But now he's not afraid.
No.
Wow.
And I tell you, the things out of his mouth, he is so inspiring. People say he's handicapped, special needs with autism, but you know what? He is so loving, and he definitely talks about God all the time and just cheers us up. I mean, he'll say things sometimes
to make you laugh.
Yeah.
Don't forget to pray.
Or make you think. Yeah, he goes, let's pray. Yeah, like a busy dinner if we're all getting into it. And he's like, pray, let's pray. And he's just they're all wonderful.
Oh. Well, how about give us a story? Tell us a story about one, or tell us a family story, but just give us some more stories. Are you looking to adopt another one, or are you just waiting to see what God does?
I'd be willing. I don't know about my husband. Well,
I guess it all depends on the situation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I guess it does, yeah. When I got to tell you, when we first started doing this, like we said, we want to adopt one boy. And then these opportunities came up for more children. I got to tell you, I was really hesitant. Kim was all for it. And I think she had more faith at the time. Because I didn't have as much faith. I didn't want to lose control of.
Yes, you're afraid of losing control.
Right. And once we started going to LCC, and I kind of gave my life over to Jesus, it just lifted everything off my shoulders and made it much easier to go along and do what, like Kim says, is our mission. So it's easier to do the adoptions. It's easier to.
So you're going to have a battalion then,
right? Well, we'll see what happens, but yeah.
But Kim said, that you both had a Catholic background, each of you, or
Kim had
we both did.
I converted to
Catholicism
when I was 22 or 23. I think is when I actually.
But he did it for the wrong reasons. He became Catholic because he wanted to be Catholic like all of us, for the family.
Yeah.
But there was something we just weren't happy, and our kids didn't want to go to church, and we just felt like something was missing. And then when we found Lapeer Community Church, and we're learning so much more now about God than we ever did before.
Well, I've been out to Lapeer Community Church, and I met you there. You reminded me. And it is such a family-orientated place, such a friendly, giving, open place, accepting, and full of children. There's young families over. As a matter of fact, between the pastors, I understand we got 9 girls, 9 daughters, 9, no boys, 9 girls.
They have a wonderful children's program there. It's just for the little kids to, from the nursery up through high school. It's wonderful.
Yes, and then you're out in the country, small town atmosphere helps, I think.
Right.
You got families all over. You had a tragedy in town just a few days ago, maybe a week ago, with the 11-year-old boy who got hit by the train, and the town turned out for his funeral. Well, that's a loving thing too, because when you get in the big city, you're sort of everybody's isolated.
And just to have your kids involved in church and God and thinking about things that are important. I mean, even on the bus ride to school and even at school, they're faced with so many challenges and so many difficult situations. When they have God to fall back on and help them be strong in these tough situations, that helps so much.
Well, it also helps so much when you have 7 other siblings to talk to and to kind of throw that blocking in front, and protecting you or giving you feedback and loving. You said your 3 biological ones, they're just right in there, encouraging, teaching, loving, crawling underneath the table, for your son, so, and to make them feel at home and welcome. There's nothing like, how little kids, you have a little toddler and they see another one, they just automatically gravitate right over to that, and they're communicating even though they're not saying anything. They got it going on, and they look into each other's eyes and they just jabber away at each other. It's so precious to see that kids communicate with each other.
And the younger kids learn from our older kids. And they're teaching when they don't even realize they're teaching, just by being giving and loving to their younger siblings. It's amazing, and a lot of times they can learn so much more quicker from their older siblings than their own parents.
Well, they pay attention. Right?
It's cooler.
It's cooler, yeah. It's cooler. Plus the fact you need those other hands when you have 8. When you have 11, you need all those hands to do the work. Just feeding them, I'm sure, is a process.
Yeah, we're pretty organized. We have a giant calendar on our refrigerator that no one is allowed to touch except Mom or Dad.
And you said you had chores, and they all have chores. They all get
daily chores,
they get
weekly.
their points, and they're scored, and you inspect their chores, and
they get allowance. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You have to teach them to be responsible and self-sufficient. The younger the better, I think.
Let's go back to your biological children. Give us a little more information about them. How old are they now?
Our oldest she'll be 29 in August, and she teaches English at Oakland University. And she has our grandson, who is also 7, Dominic.
You have a grandson.
Oh, and a granddaughter.
And a granddaughter.
Yep,
2 more.
Yep. Our daughter Jenny is 28. She's married. Lily is.
9.
Oh, I think I did 7. Dominic is 6. See, I'm screwing up the ages now. Sorry, girls. They're going to all yell at me now when we get home. But our daughter Jenny lives right next door to us, her husband, and our granddaughter Lily.
On your 10 acres?
Well,
we bought the house next door with her on land contract. They own the 7 acre. It's 7 acres and a house. So they're right next door. So we see them all pretty much every day. Except for our daughter Cassie. She lives in an apartment in Davison. And
way over in Davis.
Yeah. Well, that seems far, 15 minutes away.
Yeah. Well, hello, Davidson. Yes. But so your family's all around. You got we're still building babysitters, like you told us before. Okay. Well, let's go out with give us some more family stories, because everything can't be pudding and pie.
Oh no. Our one son, he's in a residential facility. We got him when he was almost 8, and he is now 15, and he's mentally ill. He's got a lot of issues. He's been in a residential facility for quite a while now. He was in 3 different ones. And that was very hard because the safety of our other children was very important to us, obviously.
Yes.
And with him in the home, it wasn't safe for them, so we had to put alarm systems in. We had to watch him every second of the day. He could never be alone with any of the younger kids. And when I didn't think I could handle it anymore, I just kept praying and praying to God. And then I really think it's a miracle. We went to court on an issue, and they put him in residential facility. And it's like we just felt such relief, and that he's getting the help he needs, and that also that our other children are safe.
Yeah.
Well, they can relax. They were on.
Yeah,
they were on
Penzanitos,
watch too.
They were,
so.
Yeah. Well, they're always standing guard, for themselves, but for you and for the littler one.
Yep.
But we find when we do give things to God and let them go, that's when He can do something.
Yep.
Because we tend to hang on to things and tend to put ourselves in it and try to decide and inject ourselves and make plans and
fix it. Yeah.
Fix it. We got to fix it.
Yeah, we did try that for a long time. We thought we could make it better. We thought we could fix it.
He's way beyond,
but it was beyond our control. So, like you said, we had to leave that to Jesus.
Yeah, let it go. And then He moved into care of it. Mm-hmm. You're happy with the resident issues then?
Yes, they're doing wonderful. He's making progress, so we've got a lot of hope.
Oh, great. That's great. How about another story?
I like some of the cute little stories.
Okay, we like cute little stories.
Well, like our one daughter, Angel, just, it was like the week school ended last week, I think it was. We were all watching the hummingbirds at the hummingbird feeder. We have a couple outside our window. And we were all watching them. And Angel, now, she's the one who they didn't think could speak at all, remember?
Yes, and they were teaching her sign language because she can't talk.
Right. So she says to me, she said, Mom, isn't God so nice to give us such pretty hummingbirds? I just love God. He's so nice. And it's just, she just made all of us have such a wonderful morning by such an innocent little comment and such an appreciation for God's creations. And it's like, we all need to remember that more.
Yes.
We need to be more like children, I think, a lot.
Well, we need to open our eyes like kids do, and because every day is new. We tend to get into our own head, and you walk out the door, and you're so focused on your problems, issues, plans, and stuff that you can't even see the beauty of what's there, and the glory of God. When you're out in the country a bit, you do get to see the sky. In case we're in the city, we've even turned on too many lights. We blanket out, God's glory in the heavens. And His glory's in those little faces. You got all those 11 faces.
Mm-hmm. And I think one thing that's important for everyone to remember is all these children, they are all of our children. They're our children. They don't have moms and dads. Our one son, he was found by policemen in the middle of the road when he was 1 year old with just a diaper and a sock on, and the neighbors called the police. He could have been hit by a car. He could have been killed, but by the grace of God, he wasn't.
How did he get to the road? Somebody just set him there?
Neglect.
Neglect?
The birth parents were not there. And when the police investigated, of course, it was deplorable conditions, and there was a whole bunch of other children. It was a very large family. So, but that's...
He just was one more in the bunch and neglected.
Yeah, and they all were. And I mean, even I remember our son Scott, when he was like 4 years old, he would have nightmares, and he was remembering banging on the porch of his birth parents' house, banging on the door because they locked him out because they were doing drugs, etc. And his feet were freezing, and he was crying because the cat was inside, and the cat wanted out to be where he was. And he's banging and banging on the door, and he had this nightmare over and over again. And when he finally got to love and trust us, he turned and asked me, he said, Mom, why didn't you come and save me then? So here, try to explain to this 4-year-old, well, we didn't even know you were there, at the time.
But where were you at?
He said, well, I'm glad you saved me now. So,
well, that's got to touch your heart.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, touch your heart. When you guys, when you're when they're all at home, it had to be, you're getting ready, and you're getting all these kids ready for school, and you get them out the door, and then you got to get ready because they're coming back.
Sure. Yeah.
So it was one get ready, right?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
You got clothes. You got to get clothes.
Sure.
I'm sure you had to go find clothes where you could afford clothes. So There were nice places that had, I don't know, Salvation Army, whomever.
Sure, and garage sales.
Garage sales. My daughter gets real good. I can't believe what she gets at a garage sale for so little.
Yeah, there's a lot of planning and organization, and that's always been a strength we've had. I don't know if it's from the Marines or just because we're both Virgos. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure that it helps that you were in the Marines because they get you organized. Now,
Plus, though, it's also very important with traumatized children. They need structure.
Yes.
Well, I believe all children need structure because it makes them feel safe and secure. But especially traumatized children need structure. It does. The minute there's not structure is usually when they'll act out negatively because they feel so unsafe because their birth home environment was so traumatic and unstructured. That's when it can be a trigger, and can make them act out.
Well, that's a good point. Mm-hmm. We all crave for rules. At the same time, we all don't want rules, but we really want rules. Mm-hmm. When we have rules, we're happy with them. When we have structure, we're happy, but we rebel against structure.
Yeah, it's a gradual process. You have to teach them the structure and the organization, and then the freedom.
Yes, then the freedom. Mm-hmm. But it's limited freedom.
Oh, sure.
It's within a structure.
They earn it, and they know. And we have these family meetings all the time and discussions, and they know they have to earn the freedom, earn the trust, earn privileges.
Yeah. Tell us an interactive, a story that you know about your kids where each of the siblings are helping or giving to the others. Tell us a story about you. There has to be wonderful stories where this one just goes out of the way to help the other.
Well, it's like daily, really. Like, for example, today our 5-year-old was having trouble with the PlayStation, and Big Brother Russell went to help her out without us even asking. They are definitely a family that help each other out, and they'll also sometimes too quick to correct them. Hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be doing this. So you got to teach them not to do that as well. But as far as like we go camping, do things outside together, and
But that's structured too, right? Everybody has a job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when you guys plan a vacation, what kind of vacations do you get with 11? Do you have a bus where you drive it around?
We have a 12-passenger van.
You have a 12-passenger van?
We don't normally go on vacations.
Except camping,
but we do try to make it very child-oriented at our house.
Mm-hmm.
So with basketball and volleyball and swimming and
games.
So every day there's activity. They're doing something
besides their homework, which that's something challenging for both of you because you need to be able to help them with their homework along, and you've got all the various grades going on, and they expect you to chime in.
And the older, Russell and Scott, they'll take turns listening to the younger ones read, and things like that. But then again, we are still very organized and structured, like all summer long because of their special needs. We do something after breakfast, even if it's just reading for a half hour, we do that, and that's so they'll retain what they have over the summer. But we also make it fun. Like, okay, let's do this, and then we'll do, we'll have a snack that they want or something positive. So we believe in being as positive as possible.
Yeah, positive reinforcement.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. You dismiss the negatives as quickly as you can.
You ignore the negative.
Yeah. But now with with you getting breakfast done every morning, and you've got each one of those entering the family, when a new child comes in, is it?
Oh, we prepare. You have to prepare ahead of time. You have a family meeting again, because it has to be unanimous before we bring more children into the family.
So the children, you tell them everything that you find out.
Oh, yeah.
And then you plan for this other new child to come into your home, and then they know as much as you know about it. And
in Michigan, they'll have visits as well.
Okay. They have visits as well. But they have to prepare emotionally, too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because don't forget, there's all these little issues. Where is this child going to sleep? Where will it be safe for this child to sleep? So we have a lot of discussions and planning way ahead of time.
What's the issues about what's mine?
Oh, they all have to have their own.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they all have their own toy box, or closet, dresser. They have to feel like they belong because they do belong. Yeah, it's not, I don't believe in the well, like in the Marine Corps, you had a barracks and all you had was a little footlocker. No, they all have their own stuff. They all have their own space to hang things on walls. They all have their own bed, They all feel like they belong.
Yeah.
And pictures.
They have the,
family pictures.
Kim is real quick to get pictures on the wall.
Right
to
away.
make them feel a
them
part
feel
of
they're
everything,
part
and I
of it.
bring them in, and okay.
I can't tell you how many family pictures we've had.
Yeah, and that's something our older biological daughters do get tired of because it's quite a lengthy procedure trying to get all of us
Everybody
smiling at the same time.
Yeah. Imagine you have ongoing pictures too, and you try to cluster so everybody has their favorites around their area. That
you should see our rec room wall.
But Guy, you playing such an important part here, Kim. Not just being the father, and sharing your love, but Kim still has this injury, and you said you had surgery recently. How recent was that, Kim?
Well, I had one a year ago and one 2 years ago.
And this involves your neck area
and my whole spine, from my neck all the way down. Mm-hmm.
Did they put
it's
rods
twisted,
in your...
Discectomy infusions.
Discectomy infusion.
And I also have autoimmune disorder, so, yep.
You have, which autoimmune disorder do you have?
Well, they're still testing. At first,
know.
they said rheumatoid arthritis and rosacea. So.
Okay. But
but now they think it's something else. So.
No, but you're not paying attention to that.
Nope.
Not paying attention. But Guy, here you are. Your wife has surgeries, and then she needs healing, right? She's got to heal. She's got to have time to heal. She's got to hide the heal and stiffen up. And then this is all yours then. Now she can talk to you about this if she's recovering at home, but you've got you're in command of all this army, right?
Yes. But she's
quick healer.
Underestimate. She's got a lot of control. I don't want to say control, but I mean, she knows what's going on.
And she reminds
she helps
you
me
and
out
helps
a
you with
lot
it.
by. Like
but you're
said,
the doer.
Calendar. Well, we all do.
You all do.
I mean, the kids really do pitch in too.
No, that's
and she does a lot more than she probably lets on.
Well, he's a very wonderful father too, I must say, and having the family that he grew up in, because he had a very traumatic childhood, that helped him with all of our adopted children as well. He's very, very patient, and he's also a big kid, which actually helps, especially the boys, be kids. Because he does sports as often as all our boys do, and he's a very good example for that. He's a very fun dad.
So you're up for it every day?
I'm up for it every day, almost.
Yeah.
What do you do for work?
I'm retired.
You're retired?
Yes.
So you're a full-time dad?
He was a
full-time
captain.
dad, yeah.
He was a captain firefighter.
Captain firefighter.
Yeah.
Well, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, during the time, don't you have like 3 on and 3 off or something when you were a firefighter?
When I was working, it was 3 days on and then 3 days off.
Yeah, so you're away from your family for 3 days.
24-hour period.
I didn't like that.
I bet you didn't. So then all of them really had to step up too, because you can't carry them. You couldn't lift things heavy, so the kids had to bring you and handle. So
I
you
never really
had
had to. We planned everything around his days off, like heavy shopping and stuff. We planned everything around that. So the kids, I think it's important that kids be kids. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's their job, to be kids and have fun and do their chores and be responsible. But
I think it's important that your husband's a kid.
Oh, it is.
Congratulations on being a fireman. That's such a honorable position.
Yes, it was.
God bless.
21 years on the fire department, 8 years in the Marine Corps. Then
he bought some military.
I bought some military time, retired, and it's been a blessing to be able to be with the kids as they're growing and go to the sporting events.
Guy, I'm looking right at. We got about 1.5 minutes. I'm looking right at you, and I can see another child in you right there. All right, look at your wife, and she's going, yes. And you say, well, we can probably do one more. No, yes.
There probably wouldn't be one more because
she's not doing ones.
Well, you know what? There's so many sibling groups out there that are really the hardest for people to please.
And older kids. And real quick, I'd like to say, I don't think people, when they go, that are called to adopt, don't go by the age. Go by how that child feels with your family.
Yes. Well, I've got to take this. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Guy Hall, from being here. You're wonderful, delightful guests. You have a wonderful family. I look forward to seeing them all at Lapeer, at least over time. And I'm got to close now. We've got to talk about the car. We've got to go back to it because today is it. We want to give these cars to the right people. We don't have enough cars to satisfy the need. We will never have enough cars to satisfy the need, but we have two. We're looking for a third. We want you to reach out. We want to reach out to families, just like the Hall family that are in need. They have a 12-passenger. There's someone out there who needs a car. They need to take their children to the doctor. They need to take them for the school.
All right. Dan Hutchins, God321. Now, you need to email me, Dan Hutchins at God321.net. I'm looking forward to see you. God bless you. I'm going to talk to you. It's Friday. See you Monday.
Thanks for listening to God 321 with Dan Hutchins. God 321 is sponsored by Dihydro Services, Inc. To learn more about the person of the Holy Spirit, visit God321.net. That's God321.net. Or call 586-978-0541. That's 586-978-0541.